Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Dugout. All 12 teams as we preview every Scottish Premiership club's 25-26 season. I'm pleased to be joined by Motherwell fan and regular Scottish Football Forums podcast contributor Stephen Reside. Stephen, first of all, how are you?
I'm good, Ethan. How are you?
Yeah, good. Excited to be getting into the nitty gritty of the football season again, and obviously big change at Motherwell again this season in the dugout. Jens Berfalasco comes in. What did you make of the appointment at first? And now that you've obviously seen a few competitive matches, what have you made so far?
Obviously, when you hear Yendy's name, I'm not going to lie and say that I know a lot about him. I didn't, but the minute you hear that he's got the job, you kind of do your research on these things and kind of see what kind of a guy you're getting. And his record is pretty good. I mean, he done well with Sweden, ended up getting the job at Gothenburg, and won a few Manager of the Month trophies in his first couple of months at Gothenburg as well, and then he goes on to be assistant at Copenhagen and finds himself at us. But I think what I've seen from Jens since he's come in is just I like the way he speaks. He's very honest in his interviews, and he seems like he doesn't take any nonsense. And I love his approach to the game as well. And with his brave on the ball, he wants his side to be dominant in a way where they kind of pass teams off the pitch and have a lot of possession. And I think we kind of have seen there was a mistake against Clyde, and there was kind of some teething problems in the first couple of games. But for me, that last game against Morton on Tuesday night was just things were starting to click, and that's what you want to see when you get a new manager coming in with new players and a new style. The more games you have, the better the team seem to look, and I think that's certainly what we've seen through the Premier Sports Cup, group stages.
Yeah, and I think the Premier Sports Cup is sometimes really good for clubs that have got a new manager to come in because it is obviously competitive matches, but it is usually for Premiership clubs like Motherwell against lower league teams, but it's still games you need to go out and win. We've seen in the past the Premiership clubs, even this season, Dundee, for example, have obviously struggled to make it out the groups, but Motherwell get out with ease. So. I'm just going to go on to the new signings. What have you made of the new signings that have played so far, and yeah, what of them have you seen, and what do you think of them?
I think the one thing that's been really pleasing for me is the balance that we seem to have in midfield because obviously Lennon has been injured and he's not really featured. He's not featured in the League Cup group stage matches, but I just think the balance between Elliot Watt and Lucas Fadinger has been something that's really impressed me. Elliot Watt getting man of the match and rightfully so, although I think Tawanda Masmanisi might want to award him, but I think they'd given it out before they scored that screamer. But no, it's the balance that we seem to have between those two guys in Slattery and as well as the likes of Elijah Just and Emmanuel Longello, they've shown promise as well, but it's still early days. Players are still getting to know each other. But as I said to you in my previous answer, the team seem to be the oil in the machine starts to be the cogs start to be turning, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
And we seem to be more creative and there's a real excitement, I think, around the club and the supporters at the minute about one, the approach we're taking. Two, it's always exciting when you get new faces and new signings coming in, isn't it? And more so than anything, I'm just enjoying watching us play with wingers this season. And to see, I think Tawanda Maswanisi is going to be amazing in this system. I mean, he scored 4 goals in 4 games in the group stage, and he just seems to be going from strength to strength. So long may that continue. But I think the word around the side there seems to be a really good balance. And to say that 4 games in is crazy when you've been making 6 changes a game to get people with minutes in the legs. But from Tuesday night, the word I would certainly use, you seem to have that balance, particularly in midfield.
yeah, and I think I seen you stressing this point a lot last season that there wasn't really many points in the season where you had a full strength Motherwell starting 11 because of injuries and stuff like that. Tawanda Masmanise obviously started last season really well and kind of fell away. And then Apostolos Stamatolopoulos looked like a really good signing. Obviously, he was out for a while, now he's back, and I think there was a big bid that came in for him yesterday. So but Motherwell are in a really good place at the moment. You would have to say that the signings have bed in well, as you said, and then you've also got loads of players. Callum Slattery's another one who was out for obviously a while injury. So yeah, you must feel like it's all kind of really coming together for Motherwell at the moment.
Yeah, but we're in a position with AP, with Apostolos as well, that we don't need to sell. I mean, he's still got about, I believe, 2 years left in his deal. So the money, I'd imagine, for the executive board and the club would have to be right if we're going to sell. Don't forget, we paid money for AP as well. So it's not often, we've done it twice this season already, but it's not often that Motherwell actually we dig into the pockets and we spend money. So we've made an investment there, and I almost feel like people need to remember that AP got an injury last season. I think he was really starting to come onto a game. I mean, he scored against Dundee United. I think he bagged one against Rangers at Fir Park, and then picked up an injury. I think he was entering in a wee mini purple patch, and then he kind of seemed to get stopped in his tracks. So I'm not buying some of this that I've seen online that we should immediately sell. I think that we've got an incredibly good asset there in our hands, and I'm excited to see what he can do. I mean, people need to remember that he's been injured for a long time. So these games in the group stage are kind of he's getting back up to speed. You know what I mean? It's going to take time for them, and there's loads of new players running about them. So everything is going to take time. And I'm pleased. I know it was a tap in, and I could have scored it in my wheelchair if you put my wheelchair on the line and Tuesday night. But he still has to follow it in. He still shows that hunger to get in there and get his goal. And hopefully that'll be the catalyst for him to kick on, because I really do think that we have an asset there and somebody can score easily double figures this season.
Yeah, I would tend to agree. And you speak about assets there, and no more so than obviously Lennon Miller. You said got a slight injury there now, but what was your stance on him? Would you like to see him stay another season and then maybe try and sell him for more, possibly further down the line, or are you one of the ones that believes you should try and get the money for him now while you can?
I think the contract situation is something that we really need to look at. If I'm honest, I mean he's at a contract at the end of the season, and Motherwell's model is very much develop players and sell them on for the fee to reinvest in youth again and almost start the process, or reinvest in the side and start the process over again. That's kind of our model. So, and I think Lennon, for his age, is one of the best players in the world in Europe in his position statistically. So, um, the money does need to be right though for us. I mean, I'm confident that it's going to need to break our transfer record, which was set by David Turnbull when he went to Celtic. I'm certain it's going to need to break that, and that's why Lennon has 1 year left in his deal. But I think we're talking about a generational talent here, and I think for years Scottish sides have cut their nose off a wee bit when it comes to selling players and undervalued, and I don't think we should do that at all. I think we should be asking for. I don't want to put a price on his head because obviously I'm on the Welsh Society board now. I'm not going to come out and say a figure, and so the club think that that's immediately what we're going to sell at. But I do think it's going to need to be big money, because it needs to reflect the talent which Lennon has, and it'll need to be right for Lennon as well, more than anything, because he's going to want to go to somewhere where he's going to develop further. And Ethan, I don't think this boy has a ceiling. I think this boy can go right to the very top of the game. I believe he is that good. So I would like to see the fee that Mother will get reflective in that.
Yeah, and that definitely has been a problem for Scottish sides. Obviously outside of Celtic and Rangers, who can demand a little bit more of a fee. But across the league, definitely clubs have had their pants pulled down, you could say, on multiple occasions, and Lennon Miller is obviously one of the most promising players to come out of Scotland recently. So yeah, Motherwell should do all they can to, whether that's re-signing him or extending his contract to try and get a better fee. And that's obviously something the club needs to look at. I was just sort of looking. I know Motherwell, as I said, I think are in a pretty strong position squad wise at the moment. Made some good signings. What areas of the squad do you think Motherwell maybe still need a few bodies in before the window shuts?
I think I'd still like to see us bring in another centre back. I think just for the wee to bolster that area a wee bit more. I mean, we've lost the likes of Dan Casey, we've lost Shane Blaney as well. Just maybe another centre half to kind of have shoulders up there. And I mean, we've got AP and we've got Isa Osasula that we got from West Brom. And we've still got the likes of Zach Robinson to come back, but I don't. I think just now we've only really got two recognisable strikers, so maybe another option in the forward area. I think would be good for us going into the season. But I'm sure that the club and Jens are doing their due diligence as they have done throughout pre-season. I think we've done really well to get the players in that we have and identify these targets early and actually go and get them. I think the club have done fantastic. So I'm sure they'll still be looking, and I'm sure we'll hear some things over the next few weeks about a couple of players coming in.
Yeah, and one of the players that came in, obviously, you mentioned him, Elijah Just, the New Zealand international, played with under Jens Bethelasco at AC Horsens. Is that something you like to see that the manager, it's obviously his signing, and he's got the decision to go there and say there's this guy we can get, we should bring him in, and is that something you'd like to see more in the future?
I think it's good because I think it shows you that Elijah just enjoyed working under the Jens Bertolaska. I think, and I think again, ambitious for the club to go and back the manager and just say, right, we'll go and get your man. And he's looked good. He looks tidy on the ball, very composed. He's got great close control, is something that I've noticed. He's good in tight areas. Um, and I'm sure that the more games he gets, the more that end product will come. But he's somebody that certainly I think has got fans off their seat. And I think that's been the exciting thing, that all the signings look as if they've offered something. They look as if they're bringing something to the side. So it's not as if we're just signing players to add numbers. They're actually improving the squad and making us better, which is what signings should do. So no, it's exciting, and Elijah, I'm excited for to see what he can do moving forward.
Yeah,
Definitely.
yeah, because it was a bit of a case of putting those building blocks there for obviously Michael Vimmer, and then obviously what happened there, you kind of need to knock it all down and start again. But it looks like Motherwell have worked very well with Askew and getting him in and getting the right players. And another player I don't think he's played yet, obviously played in the Premiership last season, Jordan McGee. Has he played yet?
He's picked up an injury, Jordan, so I think he's out for 6 weeks. But I think again that's a great signing for me. I think to go and get somebody who was a great player for Dundee. I mean, he can play in a number of positions. I believe the word that Dundee fans that I spoke to when they speak about Jordan McGee is consistent, and that's what you want for a player. You want that level of consistency. It's very, very hard to come by. He might not perform at an 8 or a 9, but he'll give you a 6 or a 7 of the week. And I think that those players can often go under the radar, and they can be very valuable. Jordan's the kind of a player that's going to allow the likes of Elijah and Iziosa and the new signings to kind of thrive. Um, and again, he gives you options. He knows the league, which I think is good as well. And he's a local lad, so um, I'm buzzing to have Jordan at the club. And you just take a look at how disappointed Dundee fans were. It was. I think that tells you everything that you need to know about a signing.
Yeah, but it was strange with Dundee. They've lost a lot of players that they would say, and probably the rest of the league would say were good players for Dundee. Yet they finished third bottom. So it shows that the league, I think, is building up to be really competitive this season. Motherwell obviously started last season in the league and the League Cup really well. Got to the semi final and were fourth place for quite a while, or fourth and fifth. Kind of battling with Dundee United. How well do you think Motherwell can do in the league this season, and how important do you think it is to get off to a really good start again?
I'm not going to sound defeatist, but the main aim and always the bare minimum is to stay in the league. So that's the bare minimum is that we keep up Premiership status. But we have ambitions beyond that. I think that we always look to hope that we can get into that top six. I think for me, Europe has a big impact on teams. When they're playing Thursday, Sunday. I think you've seen it with Hearts last season. I think they struggled in the early part of the season, not through lack of talent in the squad. I think mainly through that Thursday, Sunday schedule. And there's always in your mind, you always go Celtic, Rangers, Hearts, Hibs, Aberdeen. For me, there's always one club that never really hit the height that they do that's expected of them each season. So hopefully, we can take advantage of that and have a good start to the season. I think a good start's always important. I mean, you look at some of the runs that we had, unfortunately under Stuart last season. I think the fact that we'd had a good start was so imperative to the fact that we managed to get out of it last season. The fact that we were sitting fourth, as you mentioned. But hopefully this season we can avoid going on one of the runs because it's not something that we want. We want to. I know in a season that there's going to be bumps with a club like Motherwell, but as long as we can kind of stop the bleed, if that makes sense, and just continue to pick up points every couple of games and be steady. And then you always look at a cup run. I mean, the one thing that Motherwell fans want more than anything, myself included, is to win a trophy. I think Kirk did an interview with the Welsh Society, and he said he'd love nothing more than Kirk McMillan. That he said he'd love nothing more than for Motherwell to win a cup during his time at the club, and I echo that. I think that's I wrote a bucket list, and a lot of the things were in things that I could control. And one thing that I wrote down in it was seeing Motherwell win silverware. So that's the one thing I can't control, but that would mean so much to the club if one day we could win something. But even getting a run and going deep to the quarters of the semi, I think that's something that you always look to try and do. We've had a couple of early exits from the Scottish Cup, so that's the one I really wanted. We need to rectify that this season. I think get deep in the Scottish Cup. I think would be a real target.
Yeah, and
Obviously you need the luck of the draw though.
yeah,
You do need a bit of luck. But it's the same for every team, so hopefully we can get that.
yeah, and I think what last season, how if you were to rate last season out of what of sort of out of 10, how would you rate it, and where do you think that the playing squad is compared to the end of last season to where it is now?
I'm going to give it a 6. I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10 because we still got to a semi-final of a cup. We did. But I think in amongst that there was another really disappointing spell. Yeah, I think it was 1-1 in 12 or something. And then obviously Stuart left the club after the back-to-back defeats to St Johnstone. But then when Michael came in, Michael kind of galvanised us a wee bit. We go, yeah, let's get that result. And there were real signs, particularly towards the end of the season. The last game against Ross County, I thought we battered them second half. So there was some real positives towards the end of the season. So I'd say about a 6. And by the way, Stuart Kettlewell, for as much stick as he got towards the end, Stuart Kettlewell did some really good things at Motherwell. He brought through Lennon Miller. He signed Theo Bair. We sold him on for a profit. He turned us around when he came in, took over for Stevie Hamill, and we had some really good results. And then he's got us to the semi-final of a cup as well. So I think Stuart does deserve credit for some of the things that he did at the club. It's just unfortunate for any manager when you go on a run of where you don't win a game. I think it happened the season before as well. I think that maybe obviously played into what happened last season. And it wasn't good. It wasn't nice for anybody to be going to games and no one and nobody likes it. But I still think Stuart does deserve credit for some of the things that he did at Motherwell.
Yeah,
Definitely.
yeah, I think definitely. And another question that's just popped into my head now that you've said that, what do you make of his appointment in at Kilmarnock, and what do you think he can do there?
I think he's a good fit for the club like Kilmarnock. I think he'll he'll get results for them. They seem to be kind of a. I know they had a disappointing result the other night, but they seem to. I think they need to beat East Fife to get through the League Cup group stage. And no, I think he'll do okay, Kelly. To be honest, obviously, I don't want to be doing well with the players, but no, I think he's a good fit for the club like Kilmarnock, and again, he's somebody that's managed in the league and knows the league, and it'll be interesting to see if for Kelly fans if Stuart's learned anything from going on those winless runs, because I do believe that people in general in life are always evolving and always learning. So obviously, my main interest is Motherwell, but if I'm looking at it from a Kelly point of view, that'll be what they're interested in to see if there's anything different there, if he does anything different to what he did at Motherwell.
Yeah, and but before probably I get your final predictions, what are your realistic expectations from Jens Bertholascu in his first season in Scottish football?
I think we can be excited. I think we're going to see a lot of good football, some good goals as we've already seen against Morton, and hopefully we can just beat the teams in about us, like your Kilmarnocks, like your St Mirrens, and beat those kind of a side, and give the bigger teams, if you like, in Scotland a game. I think that they're going to find it really tough to come to Fir Park this season. They seem to want to press the life out of teams, and I think fans should be excited for the season moving forward. But I would also say that within that, there has to be an element of patience. So still, because they've had a good performance against Morton, players are still learning this system. There's still going to be mistakes. There's still going to be teething problems. But I think the more games that we play, we'll get it right, and I think we could have a really good season this season.
Yeah, I mean it's obviously a pretty tough start at home to Rangers, but
And
I
then St
imagine
Mirren away, St
yeah,
Mirren away, and Hearts away. It
yeah,
doesn't come much tougher, but
yeah,
listen, you need to everybody. And I almost think that with sides like Rangers, the best time to get them is early.
yeah,
The best time to get them is early. When moving, they've brought in a new manager, and they're adapting to their own style as well. There'll be teething problems for Rangers, so and they've got to go to Greece this week before the players. So I'm not going to lie to you, I'm praying for extra time in that game and hope it's absolutely roasting. To be honest
yeah,
with you. Um, but by the time they come to Fir Park at 5:30 on Saturday, so um, I hope we're not going to make it easy for them, but I know it's going to be tough. So I think it's a great opener to the season, and it's one that we should welcome with both hands. I don't think we should hold any fear at all.
yeah, and now I'll just get your predictions for Motherwell across the three competitions if you can.
Okay, I'm going to go. I'll go for a fifth place finish this season. I think we can finish fifth. I think that's achievable. Know what? Let's get a couple of trips to Hampden. I'll go for a semi-final in the League Cup and a final in the Scottish Cup. There you go. I'm going to be optimistic. Obviously, we need luck. Like if
Yeah,
it's going to be very, very difficult. For example, if we get Celtic away in the third round to then get in a final. Listen, but I'm not going to sit here and say that we're going to get put out in the quarter final or put out in the last 16 or exit early. That's just not going to happen. I'm an optimist, so.
yeah,
And my one bugbear, to be honest with you, is every time I've seen Motherwell get to a final, we've had either Celtic or Rangers. And I
yeah,
think I think for me that COVID season where we kind of get put out in penalties by Hibs and then St Johnstone do brilliant, go on and they beat Rangers at Ibrox and then go and win the Scottish Cup. That to me is the one that I look at as a missed opportunity, even though we went out in the quarters, because you look at the teams that you would have had left, it's kind of a team that you can compete against and you can beat. But I just love to see us win a trophy one day, and I pray that it could be this season, as I do going into every season.
Well, if you're not optimistic, then what's the point? And I think I remember the season under Stephen Robinson where you got to both finals in the same year. Is that
Yeah, yeah,
correct? Yeah,
yeah.
and obviously Celtic won them.
That's actually one of my favourite seasons supporting the club. That was great. The semi final, obviously against Rangers, Lottie Moult on fire that day, and then Curtis Main grabbed the mantle against Aberdeen. In the semi, but that those 2 days were great days out, and that's even though you get beat in the final, fans still look back on that with fond memories. Great season, great team, and yeah, it would be good if we could replicate that again and hopefully go one step further than one, if not two.
Yeah, and I think Aberdeen have shown the blueprint last season that you can beat one of the Celtic or Rangers in the finals. But no,
Particularly when Aberdeen came through as well. Ethan Aberdeen had some torrid results against Celtic. They took a few doings, and I think that maybe played into their hands a wee bit because I don't know if Celtic were maybe just expecting to turn up that day and win because of previous results, and I think it shows that Aberdeen learned as well from maybe what they'd done in previous games. So, listen, on a one-off, anything's possible. I mean, even Celtic know that, but what they did to Barcelona years ago, football is not one on paper. It probably is a wee bit unrealistic, my predictions, to say that we're going to get to a couple of finals or a final, but listen, you've got to give me that hope and that optimism in any season, I think.
yep, as you said, anything can happen, and I'm excited to see Beth Velasco ball because I haven't actually got the pleasure of watching it yet.
Oh,
But
yeah, ball, I think.
Jens ball, yeah, that sounds a
Yeah,
lot better, even though the alliteration isn't there.
yeah,
Yeah,
call it Jens ball.
we'll go with Jens ball. Thanks for that,
Mm.
Stephen, and thank
No,
you very much
I
for
think I think the Ritual's going to enjoy watching us this season as well. So,
yeah. I've heard that
okay.
it has high pace pressing and the football that well, I think a lot of people say about oh, it doesn't matter what football you play as long as you get a result. But it's nice to obviously see your team playing an attractive style of football. So yeah, that's all I've got for you, Stephen. So thanks very much for coming on and giving us the time. If any of the viewers want to check out Stephen, it's Stephen Reside on X, is it?
Yeah, on next, yeah.
Yeah. Or you can find him on the Scottish Football Forums podcast. And that's been all from us at the Dugout. You can check us out on the Twitter at the Dugout 2024 or on the TikTok. Alex has obviously been uploading there. So thanks very much for listening and watching, and goodbye.